certainly possible that this could happen at any stadium in any city across America. Brian Finch is one who works to stop it from happening. He's an expert in stadium security. He's a partner with Pillsbury Law's global security practice and represents concert venues and sports stadiums on security issues. And I know that what you see tonight it is in many ways, sir, a success in that we believe, at least in the early reporting from the authorities there, we believe the case is that the man did not get into the stadium, into the concert hall, but waited outside for it to end to explode his device. The security worked, but he was able to have an alternative method.
That's right. And, of course, first of all, this is just such a terrible tragedy. And the demographic that was attacked here, it's just sickening to think that someone would deliberately go after tweens and teens who would attend a concert like this. So this is just awful in every way, shape, and form. But you're absolutely right that there is a level of success here in terms of security, that someone wasn't able to get into the venue and cause even more chaos. And they had to wait on a public street where really anybody can mill around and walk through with a code or a backpack, et cetera, and if the reports are true, be a suicide bomber. And those are the types of attacks that really are almost impossible to prevent once the person reaches that phase where they're actually close to the location they want to attack.
By way of example, was fortunate enough to cover for Fox the Super Bowl this year. We were down in Houston, and I must say it was some of the most impressive. Been to a lot of major events thanks to this great job across the country and around the world. But it felt like some of the best security I'd ever seen. There was a huge cordon around the stadium there in Houston, and before you even got to the fenced-in area around the stadium, there were these huge security zones where people were lined up for, you know, a quarter mile, it seemed like. Long lines there in the heat in Houston to get to these magnetometers, and then you would go past the magnet and you would walk over a bridge and then you would get to the stadium. So the stadium itself just felt like such a safe place. But then as you were walking over that bridge to go to the stadium and you turn around, you look down at the huge tent they've set up with all the magnetometers and literally thousands of people in line. And though that stadium was protected and it was a fantastic event and there were no incidents, if somebody wanted to do something like this before that line got started, where people were lined up by the thousands, the fact is they could.
That's right. Well, and the security experts refer to that as the queuing problem, where if you have people lining up in large numbers, the terrorists or the attackers can go and attack that large group of people and cause chaos, much like you see in airports, where we've seen the recent string of airport attacks. They're going into the non-sterile area, the ticket counter, the baggage claim area, et cetera. So it's a continuing challenge, but that's why you have what we call layered security. Everybody thinks of just the X-ray machines and the portals you walk through in the airports as the line of defense. That's not the case. You have armed police, you have private security, you have intelligence monitoring all those areas for suspicious behavior. But what this really indicates at the end of the day is that in order to stop something like this, you have to have a good intelligence program. You have to have good law enforcement that is out pursuing these leads and arresting people early on. And then the flip side of that is then you get some people who complain that these are just dreamers and law enforcement is being overzealous in terms of their actions and their prosecutions of people who are dreamers of being, grandiose bombers, et cetera. But in reality, what they're doing is they're preventing exactly what happened tonight.
From speaking with security expert after security expert, the word I keep getting is you can do this. Profiling isn't the thing that's necessary. What's necessary is to learn the psychological traits of people who would carry out such a thing. Not about how old you are, what color you are, what country you're from, but the physical signs that you're giving that you might be one who is about to do something that is uncomfortable, in some way exciting or in some way frightening, and that you have to have people who understand psychology well enough to spot those people before they get to the location where they'd like to detonate whatever it is.
Absolutely. It's a combination of that, looking for people who are dressed inappropriately for the time of year, wearing a big coat, something bulky, they're sweating, they seem agitated, et cetera. And, that could describe a lot of people on any given day, but that is the world we live in, where you've got to investigate and you've got to go have a conversation with somebody. And as you saw, you were talking earlier about the soccer stadium in France. That's exactly what happened. Someone looked suspicious. The security guard challenged him. A group that I'm a part of, we actually gave him an award for the wonderful work that he did and was able to talk to him, and that's exactly what happened. He backed away, detonated, only killed himself and I believe one other person.
That's exactly right.
This is exactly
what
you have to do.
There's no way to know how many lives that security guard saved. There's no way to know.
No, there isn't. You just know it's a lot, and you thank them, and you thank the law enforcement that is working really hard. And I'll say this, Shep, you know, we worked with Major League Baseball, and one of the things that you've experienced, you walk through the metal detectors at the baseball stadiums now, and when that came out, we saw a lot of op-ed journalists who were making fun of baseball for putting in these metal detectors and saying, well, it's just security theater and it's an inconvenience and people are paranoid. Well, on a night like tonight, you sit there and you want to go up to them and say, well, what do you think now? This is the unfortunate reality. Do you want to take that back? And I'm sure they will, and I'm sure they'll have a snarky response, but, you know, this is what you need to do.
Man, I sure do appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.